A lonely divorcee thinks she's found love again,
My life become wrapped around his.
only to discover that she's become entangled in a nightmarish web of deceit from which there will be no escape.
And to know all of it was a lie, it hurts.
Audrey Elrod, just recently divorced from her husband of 14 years, thought her dream of a second chance at lasting marriage had magically come true.
I was just going through messages and there I saw it.
A romantic Facebook message was from a rugged, dashing admirer from Scotland who called himself Duke McGregor. How beautiful is your picture, Audrey, the message read. By the grace of God, I will meet that someone again.
He was an older gentleman and he looked very nice and sweet. The message sort of caught my eye, and I'm like, okay, so, well, why not?
Audrey, 45, immediately thought she had finally found someone to ease her loneliness.
Which eventually led to what, hours and hours of talking?
Yes.
And over those hours, Audrey got to know Duke very well, or so she thought, believing him to be a kind and affectionate widower who was lonely himself, spending months on an oil rig in the North Atlantic.
He's like, I know that you're who I want. From that point on, we started talking more romantically.
Audrey spent hours on the phone from her home in Bluefield, Virginia, intoxicated by Duke's Scottish accent and bold declarations of passion.
Did you eventually fall in love with Duke McGregor?
Yes, I'd say yes, I did. I look forward to talking to him. I look forward to getting emails in the middle of the night from him.
You and Duke McGregor began to talk marriage.
Yeah, we was talking about spending our life together.
Duke enchanted the childless Audrey with the prospect of becoming something she had always longed to be, a mother, to his teenage son Kevin, left motherless by a tragic car accident. And soon, Audrey was talking to Kevin at least once a week.
Kevin always told me he never had a mom, so he wanted a mom, and that's what he called me. He called me Mom.
But months into Audrey and Duke's relationship, their conversation changed from romance to finance.
Duke had told me that where he's on the oil rig, that they freeze their accounts when they go out for security reasons.
Her new love would ask for a few $100s here and a few $100s there, just to cover some expenses.
I was in love with this guy, so it was like, okay, you're my family, so I'm going to do whatever I can to help you.
Did you question him at all about needing all of this money?
I questioned him quite a bit. He could make you feel like you was the most dumbest person on this earth if you questioned him.
Then, as well as giving him money from her modest weekly paychecks, Duke asked her to do something else for him.
We've been talking for quite a few months. He told me, he said he had a friend that needed some help. And I'm like, what kind of help? He's like, he needs you to receive some money and to forward it straight to him. And he was a banker in Nigeria.
Nigeria?
Yeah.
Is that a red flag for you right off the bat?
Yes, and I questioned him about that. I'm like, I don't think so. I said, that's Nigeria. Well, if you love me enough and you trust me enough, and you know I'm never going to put you in any situation that is wrong.
But the situation he was putting Audrey in was not only wrong, it was a federal crime. And over the next 2 years, Audrey would unwittingly launder hundreds of thousands of dollars for Duke and his Nigerian friend that would turn out to be an international fraud scheme, preying on other lonely women across the globe.
The scam artists would contact people throughout the world, and they would send money to Ms. Elrod's bank accounts.
Just the same way they were putting the money she was giving to Duke into the accounts of other victims to launder.
And then she'd take that money and withdraw it out of the bank accounts and wire the money to Nigeria.
How much money actually passed through Audrey's hands?
In excess of $400,000.
She says, that number's more like 100,000.
I've got documents that beg to differ.
Because Audrey didn't have a car, she would walk to this parking lot, head right inside, and buy all of her MoneyGrams. But Audrey says she never knew she was committing a crime, just helping out Duke. and Duke's banker friend.
Were you making money off of these transactions?
No, I didn't make money off transactions.
Then
A
why
lot of
do
people
it?
think I did it because I trusted Duke and I loved Duke. That's why I did it. Plain and simple.
Is Duke McGregor a real person?
Not to our knowledge.
Not at all.
No.
You think it's just a facade
Yes.
that was thrown to her?
One of many.
When local banks got wind of the scheme, they closed her accounts. But blinded by love, at the urging of Duke, she would simply open new ones somewhere else.
A detective came and talked to me, said he had an arrest warrant for me, and I went with him.
Audrey was released on bail 24 hours later and went right back to what got her busted in the first place.
You know, the government was telling her it was illegal, but the scammers were telling her it was legal, and she chose to believe them.
And soon the feds would break up Audrey and Duke's romance for good.
Tell me about where we are right now.
Right now, we're at Alderson Federal Prison Camp in Alderson, West Virginia.
And what is your sentence?
52 months.
In all of this, what did you ultimately plead guilty to?
1 count structuring and 1 count wire fraud.
Would her lover Duke swoop in to the rescue?
No, the day I went to jail is the day he died. You know, this is basically our relationship died that day.
Do you feel sorry for Audrey?
I do not. She knew what she was doing was wrong. She did it even after she was arrested. At some point in time, the compassion stops and you just want to stop the crime.
What would you say to this man who you loved dearly and really wanted to marry?
Why? Why me? You know, there's times you still sit back and you think of the conversations you had with him. And to know all of it was a lie, it hurts. That is a fault of mine, is to be trusting. And I'm gonna have a hard time when I leave here trusting people, because I'm not gonna trust anyone ever again.